Welcome to the Cyberculture Cafe series by Cyber Talks, presented by eSentire. I'm Andy Lalaguna, and I'm here with my friend and colleague, John Moretti. Together, we're excited to introduce you to some fascinating members of the eSentire family. In this series, you'll get to know their story, the challenges, their successes, how they got here, what motivates and drives them to deliver the best service experience in the industry. This is Cyberculture Cafe. Welcome back to another episode of the Cyberculture Cafe podcast, where John and Andy will introduce you to another fascinating member of the eSentire family. Welcome, Mike, to the podcast. Please give us a brief introduction of where you are within the company now and your current roles and responsibilities, and we'll start from there.
Yeah, I'm Mike Reeder. Appreciate you for having me on. I'm currently a senior executive consultant, is my new title, actually. So worked on the IR team. I came over on the IR team, actually. Spent the first 3.5-ish years of my career with eSentire, part of the digital forensics team, incident response. And I managed our retainer platform and our IR readiness platforms as well. At some point during that journey, I thought, hey, I need to move into consulting. I was kind of tired of watching people's houses burn down and wanted to be a little more proactive about it. And I'm a people person at heart, so I figured consulting was a good progression for me in my career, and moved over. Started working with vCISO team in December, I want to say it was, and officially moved over last month. So it's a kind of new role for me. But
congratulations!
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
Good for you. That's awesome.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
It's been a journey, and honestly, it's been a lot of fun. It's a lot of drinking from a fire hose, learning how to be a consultant and not just a technical guy, but I'm definitely loving it.
Yeah, that's, it's funny. We had on Shane Mason the other day, and I was helping out very briefly with the team. And we were talking about this on the last podcast we had, talking about it with Shane. And what you guys do is, man, it's not an easy gig, bro. It's not. It's a lot of work. I mean, first of all, we have a great program. I think it's cool. It's a very cool program. And I only did some assessment stuff, so I didn't do everything. But this program obviously comes with tons of questions. Do you think we'd use any of those questions? No, we rewrote every single one for every framework. I mean, that is so much work right there to do. But think about it. They're, talking to Rick, he's like, look, customers are paying for this. We want to really know everybody's different. Every organization is different. It has to be customized for every organization. And that's amazing. And I think people need to know that. We're not just, using a program and here you go, here's your assessment. We're really diving in deep and taking the time. And I think what you guys do in that team is, it's unique. And I think a lot of it's going to be running what we're moving forward to with our new CTAM programs coming out. That's going to be amazing. You guys are going to be like swamped. You guys have a lot of work.
For sure. No, I think, one of the things, like I said, that drove me to consulting is the people side of things. And like you said, every customer is different, but the one thing that I've kind of maintained in my life is relationships matter. And it's being technical is great. Being smart is great. Knowing your stuff is great. But if you can't connect with your clients or with the people that you work with or any of those things, none of it really matters. And I definitely, like I said, it's drinking from a fire hose. I definitely am learning a whole lot real quick to be proficient on this side of the house. But the thing that's always gotten me along is that I'm good with people. And so I've been able to build relationships. And that's the feedback I've gotten so far from clients is, hey, with tabletops, we really like this is personalized to us. Whereas maybe in the past, that wasn't their experience with different companies and that sort of thing. And so I think that's one of the biggest values with having a consulting firm or consultant team that, my experience with everybody is they're great to work with and they're also super knowledgeable. And I think that plays into the success that they've had so far.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think 90% of what we all do here is talking to customers. 10% is what you know, because we learn new stuff every day. There's new things. I can't say, God, I know everything. I learn and read new things every single day. And I'm thinking, shit, I don't know anything. It's like, I mean, you learn these crazy new things and these new techniques. It's like, God, where's this coming from? It's so fast. So I agree. people buy from people. And that's what we want to actually put out with this whole podcast is really showing we have such a unique family here at eSentire. Everybody is unique and different, and the goals are the same. Everybody has the same goals, and that's what makes us a family, and it's incredible. So doing digital forensics, right? First of all, how in the world did you get started doing that? Because that's not fun either. That's like, holy, I mean,
that's really getting your hands dirty, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's an interesting journey, I would say. So it's kind of a long journey, actually. My parents, when they were married, when I was a kid, they owned a computer store in New Mexico. It's where I was born and raised,
cool.
At least for the first part of my life. And I just kind of grew up around, like, at the time they had one of the first, now Apple, at the time it was Macintosh contracts, and so they were selling Macs back in the day, and I just kind of grew up around that. And when they split, they sold the company, and my mom actually ended up eventually going to work for Intel. And so then I was even more immersed in it. I'd go to bring your kid to work days back when they had that, and spend a lot of time around it. I was always fascinated by technology. And my journey to get here was there's a lot of deviation. I actually worked in construction for 10 years before I got into digital forensics, and didn't always know that this was the path I was going to take, but I was always interested in technology. So what really happened is I was having a conversation with my mom one night, and just kind of talking about, at the time, digital forensics wasn't as maybe well known, and talking about different career paths and opportunities that might present themselves. And she's like, "Hey, I think you'd be great at this. You're super analytical. You're very detail oriented." And it's like, yeah, sounds kind of boring, to be honest with you. And I wasn't really sure that it was what I wanted to do. And like I said, at the time I was working construction, and I knew that construction was a lot of fun, and it wasn't gonna be the thing that supported my family long term. I've got 3 young kids and a wife, and I just didn't see a future in that was easy on my body, or provide enough time for my family and the life I wanted my family to have. So I had decided to go to college, and the college I went to actually had a digital forensic major, and that's what I went for. And during that time, there was parts of it where I'm like, man, this is way over my head. Like there's things here that I don't care how many times I read this, I'm never going to get it. And then there was parts of it that I really took to, and I just got passionate about it through
Which
school.
were the bits that caught your attention? Which really sort of dragged you into it?
One of the classes I had was taught by, this was in Arizona. The gentleman was a Chandler Police Department, works for the police department out there. And he talked a lot about their not just their digital forensics organization or their team, but kind of the ins and outs of things like chain of custody, which sounds ridiculous. But it was just intriguing to me, the way that they actually operate, like in the field, and how they work, and just that whole kind of life cycle really caught my attention. And he was actually a good mentor for me. He got me really into it. And then the I don't want to say less technical pieces, the non-log analysis pieces is probably the best way to put it, started catching my attention, because log analysis can be very boring. It's very mundane. You kind of do the same thing over and over, and you're looking for, similar artifacts across the board, but the unique experiences with each case is what I kind of, in college, we did a lot of hands-on exercises, and the uniqueness of each scenario is what really captured my attention. So I had a class that we focused, there was like 10 or 15 systems that we had to actually do a pen test on. And I had so much fun doing that part of it and writing up a report for it. And actually I got a call from the gentleman that ran the lab at the school. And he's like, "You keep blue screening my systems. What are you doing?" And I'm like, "I'm just trying to break things and see how I can get in." And so I actually spent a long time talking to him, and he was like, "It's not something that people generally do, is at least with their systems, like that hasn't been the vulnerability people have exploited." And he was curious how I found it and that sort of thing. And so anyway, that's a long-winded way of saying just the different scenarios that can occur in cybercrime and the way that people attack systems, and then trying to understand and think kind of backwards from that, and how a criminal thinks, if you will. That's the stuff that really intrigued me. As a matter of fact, I don't know if you can see them, they're kind of blurry, but I have a whole section of books behind me that are all about like criminal behavior and criminal mindset. And it's just always been something that intrigued me. So that's kind of what drew me into this world in general, is just the kind of trying to reverse engineer all that.
We have the ID Discovery channel 24/7, 365 running in our house. My wife, and we were talking about this too with Shane. She wanted to be in digital forensics and not digital forensics, in forensics in like the police department, things like that. And she's fascinated by that stuff. But every day it's on. I mean, I go to bed with it on and thinking, fuck, this lady's going to kill me one night in my sleep, and she's going to get away with it because she knows how to do it.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm telling you, conversations. It's amazing how they find criminals when you think. I mean, I watched this one show. I don't remember who we were talking to about it, but this guy killed his wife. He threw her in a wood chipper, chipped her all up, and then he put her in these cement blocks, and he drove hundreds and hundreds of miles away and dumped these blocks in the lake. Now you're thinking, son of a bitch, this guy's never going to get caught, right? There's no proof of where she's at, no blood, no nothing. They found him. They found her. They took those blocks out and found her. I was like, how in the world would you find that? Something that they found at the site led them to that. I don't remember what it was. It was a while ago, but every day this show is on, these shows are on, and it is fascinating how they take the time to go through. And I think forensics and DNA and all the things that we're going to be doing in the future has changed the way. I mean, I just read the other day, they found out who Jack the Ripper was. They actually found DNA. They found out who he was. He was a barber. I forgot his name. Yeah, 23 years old. They found DNA. I don't know how. I mean, it's all over the place now. You got to look it up. Yeah, I'm like, get out. Is that real or is this just one of these things? But they found the Golden State Killer, right? He was a guy in the 70s and stuff doing all those crazy things. They got him how many years later? He's an old dude now in a wheelchair. I mean, son of a bitch. They're going to find you. They're going to find you. You're not going to get away. I want to know who the Zodiac Killer is. That's what I want to know.
So do I have a book. I actually have books on Jack the Ripper and the Zodiac Killer.
You got to find out, bro. That's what I'm saying.
For sure. Well, that's, like I said, that's kind of, that mindset is one of the most fascinating parts about digital forensics, as well as, I mean, you're hopefully not murdering people, but
right.
the reverse psychology of it, and just trying to understand, like, what's the motivation behind this attack, or what's the what's the operation and the methodology? Why'd you choose to go about it this way? Why'd you see some even more sophisticated threat actors that, they won't cover their tracks and they're just kind of noisy, and then you have some that really challenge you, and I like the challenge. So all of those kinds of things are what drove me to this in particular. And, one of the things in college and just in life that I wasn't really willing to compromise on is had a lot of conversations with some of my professors about the more nefarious parts of digital forensics, the things like child exploitation and that sort of stuff. And I'm a very protective human being by nature, and I just wasn't willing to go that route. And that's why I chose kind of this avenue instead of going into law enforcement or something like that. I don't want to be exposed to that.
I agree. I mean, there might be things like, for me, if I was ever in that kind of field, it might get you to where you would just lose your shit and not be able to, because you're in law enforcement, right? You can't, even what you're doing now with digital forensic, things like that, you might see something that's so bad and so malicious, you're like, oh my God, I wish I had this person in the room.
I've had some friends in the space, and they have gone down that path, and they've been dealing with those sort of cases, brutal. And it destroys them.
Yeah, it's hard. How do you not take that? These people were broken. Home? Yeah,
you can't. The problem is you're not supposed to bring it home, but you can't help it. It's locked in.
It's mental. It's hard. But you know what? We need people out there to do it, because there's a lot of evil people out there, and there's assholes everywhere. We gotta. But
this, for me, it begs the question, Mike. You're you're developing these skills and capabilities and practices to start tracking back these breadcrumbs, and obviously then you want to understand why there is that sequence of events there. What brought that thought process to carry out those activities whilst you're tracking back these breadcrumbs. Do you, or did you see while you were doing that role any sort of commonalities of the themes? Were a lot of them opportunistic to start with and then bad actor driven afterwards, or?
Yeah, I would say in most cases that we've dealt with that it is a matter of opportunity. And we've had a few cases that were targeted attacks for sure, but in general, it's lack of security or misconfigurations, that sort of thing. And it usually, I would say one of the most common themes that I've seen is a lack of funding for the security teams in those organizations generally leads to major compromises, and then picking up the pieces afterwards, which again is part of the reason I wanted to move into consulting. Is how do we fix that? How do we make this something where it becomes like a bigger issue to you, and help you kind of see the value in a proactive response to security rather than your house is on fire and now you have to go about fixing and reconfiguring your environment.
Do you feel there would ever be enough money in that? Because I think it seems to be an afterthought for most entities. Some do prepare a little bit, but it seems to be, well, it's going to happen to somebody else, so I don't necessarily have to budget that much for it. How do you see that argument changing to?
I think there's kind of two parts to that. So the first part of your question, no, I don't think there's ever going to be enough money for a security budget. And I think part of that is, in some cases, depending on the industry or the organization, you're dealing with potential threats from state-sponsored actors, and they have relatively unlimited budgets, right? And they got nothing but time. And if you're their target, they're going to get to you. It's a little different if it's a script kiddie or if it's just somebody that's attacking you just because of the sector you're in or whatever. But specifically with state-sponsored actors, you're never going to have a bigger budget than they do. As far as addressing the criticality of it, or getting organizations to see why it's so pivotal to their success, I think it just comes down to conversations like this, to be honest with you. I think it's awareness. I think it's teaching people. The technical side of things, I think, goes over a lot of people's heads. And I think when you talk to them at that level of, you need these controls, you need these things, I think you're going to lose them. If you can sit down and talk to them person to person, or have conversations with them that get them to see like the people aspect behind it, and why, like, you're not just protecting your organization, you're protecting your employees, you're protecting your customer base, you're protecting all these other things, your livelihood. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Like, I think that is how you make it a priority for organizations. And I think at the C-suite level, they're not focused on the security aspect of it, because to them it's a dollars and cents thing. It's not a like, let's quantify this in a way that really matters, because they're looking at, like, I'm spending X amount of dollars on a retainer that I'm not getting any value out of, or I'm spending this money on EDR. We haven't had a significant breach. Well, you probably haven't had a significant breach because you have an EDR solution, right? Or maybe you have right now, you haven't had that breach, but that doesn't mean it's not coming in the future.
I'm with you. And I think that's why the CTEM stuff that we're coming out is important, right? Because if you're thinking, oh, you know what, here's this risk, I might never have a problem with this risk, so why would I put any money towards it? But if we can change their mindset, their mindset to be proactive and be ready for anything, because you don't know what's going to happen today. They're using AI threat actors. They can try over and over and over again, like you mentioned, to get in. They don't have to, they can try over and over. They don't care. There's no regard. So to be proactive, I think, is critical. And if you can change the C-level of their mindset from, okay, I know it's always with dollars and cents, but to be proactive and show that how it's enhancing the organization, I think that's going to be more easier for them to swallow, maybe. But you're right, and you said it. I think no matter what you're doing, if you're for your side of the house, if you're saying all this technical stuff, you're going to lose the folks. If you're going to be and talk to them person to person, and you can step inside their shoes, and they feel that, and they like what you're saying, and they truly understand that, wow, this person truly gets me, and I get it because he's been here. That sets the stage. I mean, I think you're going to be great at that because you have that background, you have that history, and it's going to help when you're talking to customers because you're like, look, I can tell you right now. And I'm just trying to help you. This is exactly how it is. And I think you're gonna have a lot of people relate to that. And that's important. I think that's gonna be it's gonna be a game changer for us as an organization with your team leading the way with our proactive approach to what we're doing. I mean, MDR, we say it all the time, and it's a checkbox today. Everybody says that.
Yeah, and I think that the C10 piece is important. I mean, we all discuss this. We've been, well, yourself, both of us have been involved with TIER on that program for a long time now, in discussing the options and the considerations. Certainly, again, Mike, to your point of raising the level of conversation within those C-suites so they can make an informed decision in their language rather than sort of the technical language. The C10 piece is going to provide that option, isn't it? It's going to give them a framework of areas where they can see where they're potentially lacking, where they can improve their security maturity and start to address those issues. And they can see that there's a program of work there. I mean, from our collective experience, that then gives them a sense of confidence that there's a partner here who's partnering with them for a significant length of time to bring them to that maturity.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. Your job is not easy. A lot of stuff you deal with every day. What do you do to unwind? What do you do with I gotta let go and forget this shit because this was a shit day. I need to change my mind here, change my mindset.
Yeah, so I'm an adrenaline junkie, and I grew up riding motorcycles, snowboard. So those are the things that I do. My family, but part of the reason I started dating my girlfriend at the time, now wife, in high school actually, is she rode motorcycles, and I just thought that was the coolest thing ever.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so we go out and ride quite a bit. I live in Colorado now. I used to live in Arizona. Arizona was like, the summer you stayed inside and just hoped you didn't die from the heat. Here, it's summers are spent on our motorcycles, winters are spent up on the slopes.
That's awesome. Good for you. That's incredible. I was just going to ask you. So I want to ask you though, where?
Hang on. What sort of bikes?
Oh yeah, there you go. What kind of bikes do you drive?
Yeah, so I ride street and dirt actually. So
look at you. That's awesome.
Yeah, the street bike, actually, I almost killed myself on it. A month after I got married, I got in a pretty significant accident on my way to work. Don't ride as much on the street anymore. That was almost 10 years ago in May. I ride dirt a lot now is mainly what I do. So
that's awesome. Do you ever do it professionally, racetrack, racing other folks, or just do it for fun?
No, I go to the track, but I didn't grow up. My dad, when I was a kid, I begged and begged and begged I wanted to race. I was like, I want to be a pro rider, and my dad, to give you a bit of a backstory on him. He was a rodeo cowboy for the U.S. Marine Corps.
That's awesome.
He grew up riding motorcycles. He's three sport varsity athlete, and he was like, you're doing anything but riding motorcycles because it's dangerous, and the track is just not the right place, right? Like he was the motorcycle guy, but just the track's not the place to do it. So I never got to race growing up, in funnily enough, my 7-year-old now, from the time he could talk, he's like, I want to race dirt bikes.
There you go.
So this past year, we were like, okay, let's do it, and before a month before his first race, he broke his arm and broke his elbow actually on the track.
Ouch.
And we've been ever since then trying to get him back to the confidence level where it's like, okay, I can go out on the track and be happy again. So we switched from maybe not racing anymore. We're gonna try football, see if that's his thing. But
that's always safe too.
There's no chance of him breaking anything there.
Right? Yeah, all the super safe sports. There's zero chance of concussion, zero chance of broken bones. Yeah,
Concussions and shit. Why not?
and
Yeah.
it's so funny to think about. I talk to him a lot. I try to talk to him like he's an adult in certain aspects. Like talk to him on a human level rather than explain things to him as a 7-year-old, right? And I talk to him a lot about like, dude, football's not any safer than riding motorcycles. Like I have bad knees, I have a bad back, and it all came from football. It wasn't all the motorcycle stuff, all the accidents. It was never that. It was playing football. So I've tried to push him away from that, but no, we do a lot of different stuff. We're very outdoor oriented.
That's
family.
awesome. Well, you live in Colorado. That's great to do it. So let me ask you this. So you said you grew up in New Mexico. Were you by Roswell by any chance?
I was not. I've been to Roswell, but I was born in Albuquerque.
I wanted to find out about that. We're going to dig into something because I'm fascinated about the Jack the Ripper stuff and the Zodiac. We're going to come back to that because I think it's interesting. My wife, whenever the Zodiac movie's on, I watch it. And my wife's like, how many times are you going to watch this movie? But it's like, you just want to know. And there's another show, I think it was on, I don't know if it was Hulu or Netflix or one of these shows, maybe Netflix, where they were doing something about the Zodiac and they think it's more than one person. That's why they can't find out who it is. Right? You saw that, right? So I'm thinking, okay, that makes sense. I always thought when I watched the Zodiac movie, of course, I thought it was that guy, Alan. I thought, that son of a bitch, he's the Zodiac killer. But they did some DNA tests and they said it's not him. So I don't know, but it would be, those are things you just want to know. Who killed Kennedy? I watched some shows on it. I have some ideas. We can talk about that too. But who killed Kennedy? Who is the Zodiac and the Jack the Ripper? You have to look up Jack the Ripper. No, they said who he is.
Yeah, I'll have to look into it. I know a couple of years ago that they had said that they thought they might know, but I didn't realize that they'd actually officially announced it.
They have a picture of him and everything. It was some 23-year-old barber and he was mentally unstable or something. I don't know. Something nuts with him. I don't know.
I think you kind of have to be to do the horrendous things he did for sure.
That was creepy, crazy. But yeah, man, there's some crazy people. But that I can see, even on the digital forensic side, seeing folks like, I have to know how this happened, who this was, and what their motivation was. I want to know. And it's because you want to stop them, but you want to make sure this never happens again. So I can see where you're interested in that. It's like, it's fascinating, but like for me, I'm not smart enough.
Question that I keep thinking about this. How do you think that potentially influences you now within the VCSO program? That sort of background in digital forensics.
Yeah. So it's so far it's helped me a lot because, I'm definitely still learning as far as like the regulatory requirement stuff and that sort of thing. I think that you have to have a photographic memory to remember all of the regulations and all that shit. But as far as just the general stuff, like I've been in conversations with clients talking about just a random thing or, a random security control or if I'm building a tabletop exercise for them, I think that's where it shines probably the most. I'll ask them a question and my wheels will start spinning about like, well, in this case that I did 3 years ago or whatever, like this was the thing that happened. Hey, do you have this in place by chance? Oh, you do? Okay, well, maybe you should think about, here's some potential security concerns with that. Or if it's just like, if I'm doing an SPMA for a client, thinking through things as far as like, again, you could know all the like book stuff on what controls you need to have in place or what the best architecture is or what the best framework is. But when you actually live the life and watch people exploit vulnerabilities that are supposed to not exist or whatever, like I look at it from more of the lens of this is my experiences. These are the things that I saw while I was doing this every day for 20 hours a day. And even though maybe this is considered best practice, like think about these things as well. Think about these different avenues that you might want to pursue that could also help strengthen your security posture or teach your employees better security awareness. I think that's where it's really helped me having that background and then making this transition is like seeing how things play out when you don't have the right controls in place versus like just always trying to get people to have the right controls.
Yeah, right. No, I agree. I'm with you on that. So you mentioned You mentioned you ride bikes with your wife and stuff. You guys do a lot of outdoor stuff. Is she in the same field? Does she do the same stuff? No.
My wife is a hairstylist.
Get out of town! No kidding. Really? There you go. So you guys must have great conversations that night. You probably tell her some cool shit. She's probably like, I don't even know what you're talking about.
She tries really hard to be interested in what I have to say. I'll put it that way. But no, she's a hairstylist. She's been doing it for, since we were in high school. We started dating when we were freshmen in high school. So we've been together.
Get out of here! Seriously? Really? Wow.
She's gonna kill me if I get this right. I think we just celebrated 18 years together in January. So 10 years. We'll be 10 years married in May, and I think it was 18 years that we've been together.
Wow, that's incredible! All from high school. No kidding.
High school, yeah.
Look at you guys, and you guys stayed together that entire time. Were you breaking up and getting together on and off kind of thing?
We had a rough stretch in high school, immaturity, and I think there was we grew up in different backgrounds and different, religious backgrounds, different, really just kind of came from different worlds. Like I came from, again, I was born in New Mexico. We moved to Arizona when I was 10 years old. She was born and raised in Arizona, and that's all she knew until we moved here. So we had our kind of challenges for sure when we were younger, and being together 18 years, you're going to have challenges in your marriage and things like that. But no, we've made it through all of that, and we're super happy in our relationship.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's unique. You don't see that a lot. Let me ask you a question though. Does she charge you for a haircut?
She does not.
All right, so there you go. I was going to say.
Well, actually, you know what? She doesn't charge me. When I get my haircut, it's all the date nights and all the other stuff that I end up buying.
Yeah, you still pay for it. Don't think you're getting shit for free. I hear you.
For sure. Yeah. It's the most expensive haircut I've ever gotten.
Yeah, there you go. That's funny. That's awesome, though. Good for you. So what makes you guys want to move to? I mean, I know you mentioned it. In Arizona, it's hot in the summer. I mean, it's brutal hot there. But what made you pick Arizona, Colorado? Yeah, what made you pick that?
It's funny because before we'd ever come here, I had zero interest in moving to Colorado. All the stereotypes is being from the Southwest. Everything I heard about Colorado was not ideal. But actually what happened is we had talked for a long time about leaving Arizona. It's hot and their school system's not great. And we wanted to provide our kids with opportunity. And so Arizona just wasn't really the right place to raise our children. I've got a lot of family that lives in Texas. That's where my dad and most of my family actually lives in Texas. And so we'd always talked about moving back there. And before we moved, we said we're going to visit 5 different states and kind of get a pros cons list together and figure out what we like about this state, what we don't like, to just kind of put something together that we could kind of quantify the value of each state and then make an informed decision. And prior to coming here, I actually came up. I've got an uncle that lives here in South Colorado. Came up and visited him, and I just this state is awesome. It's like snowboard heaven here. And I was like, we got to go to Colorado. We got to make that one of our trips. And she's like, we're not going to Colorado. I don't want to move there. And the week before he came out here, we hadn't even made plans to go anywhere yet, but we were just kind of talking about, hey, let's go somewhere this weekend. We're actually going to go to Utah. It was on our list as well. And the flights to go to Utah were twice as expensive as coming here. And we couldn't find a hotel, and I'm not sure if they had an event going on or what, but it just wasn't going to work. And so we were like, all right, well, let's just go to Colorado and check it out. And that'll be the first place. And it's the only state that we went to. We came out here.
What states did you have in your list? You had Colorado, Utah, you didn't have Colorado. So you had Utah. What else?
We did have Colorado, but it was it was 5, and it was a very weak 5 on the list of 5 states. So we had Colorado, Utah. We were still planning on potentially moving to Texas. We'd obviously been there, but it was on the list. Tennessee, and I want to say the other state was South Carolina, or is one of the eastern states.
New Jersey. New Jersey.
It was definitely not. It definitely wasn't Jersey.
Come here. You kidding?
The taxes in New York and New Jersey are not. I don't want to do that. But
no.
So you moved to Colorado because the flights were cheap.
So we flew out here, and we got here at 11 o'clock at night. They had just had a snowstorm, and the roads were icy, and all of the worst things you could imagine, right? And our flight getting out here, we had just had our youngest son at the time, and he he was probably like 3 months old maybe when it came out. We brought him with us. We had a very long delay. We had to change planes we were sat on the tarmac for like 2 hours. And then they're like, hey, you guys have to change planes. We got to get you on a different one.
Sign. You're like, shit,
exactly.
I we should be
all the reasons not
here.
to move, right? And and we got in as pitch black, and I think both of us were miserable. We're like, yeah, maybe this isn't the right place. Woke up the next morning, and we were staying in Denver, and we said we're going to drive down into Colorado Springs, to see kind of what's between here and there. And on our way down to the Springs, we passed through the town that we now live in. It's called Castle Rock, and my wife was like, "This is the place." Like at the time, it's grown significantly since we moved here, but at the time it was a lot smaller. It's kind of, I wouldn't say it was a small town when we moved here, but it wasn't a big city, right? And we didn't want to be in a big city. We're small town people. We both grew up in small towns, and we were just driving through, and it was like, the community was beautiful. They have a really cool downtown that was like, it's from like the 1800s. All the buildings are still pretty much original. A lot of culture down there. And she just like, this is the place. And so we didn't make any other trips. We didn't go anywhere else. We actually went home and listed our house and anticipated that we were going to have a few months. And it took us like a month or two to get our house ready. We listed it. And the day we listed it, I got a call from our realtor saying, hey, somebody offered full asking price. Can you move out in 30 days?
There you go.
I don't know if I can, but we did, and we moved here. We actually, the week before we moved here, we still didn't even have a place to live. We were still trying to find a rental house, and so
wow,
it was quite the experience getting here. But we've loved it since we've been here.
So you said the name of the town is Castle Rock?
Castle Rock, yep.
That's in every Stephen King book. See, right there, flight's a little delayed. You got a Castle Rock. I don't know, but hey, it's working. So good for you.
Yeah,
it's an interesting part of the world. I got a cousin in Denver.
Yeah, I've been there before. I flew into Denver. I had to drive to Colorado Springs. I did an interview for an organization. I don't even know how many years ago. It was for IP Sands at the time. It was a company called Left Hand Networks.
Okay.
And they were bought out by HP a year later. But I interviewed with them, and they flew me out. And it was a cool area. It was very cool.
It is for sure.
Very cool place. I think the first time when I went there, the first night, I mean, I had such a bad headache because I guess the air is different, right? Or something. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to die.
Elevation.
Yeah, they say you got to drink a lot of water. I'm like, now you're telling me my head's already pounding. So, but yeah, it was a very beautiful state for sure.
It is for sure. Yeah. And honestly, like, we still weren't really sure on the culture out here, whether we were going to fit in or not. Again, small town people, just like not really everything we've ever heard about Colorado was it's a bunch of stoners and hippies, and that's not really our crowd, right? And
I hear you. They had the first. I mean, marijuana was legal there. I think the first state. They're like,
it was.
Yep. Why not?
And it's not like that at all here. I mean, obviously you have those pockets, Denver definitely, but in general, it's just not that kind of way. And the people here are so friendly, and that's something I think we both missed. The last probably 10 or 15 years in Arizona has been a lot of, I would say, a culture shift. A lot of people moving from West Coast states specifically, and bringing their kind of, I don't, not just the political stuff, but they're bringing their kind of, like, they're not as friendly, right? They're like, we come from small towns where people talk to each other. You know your neighbors. You always help people out, and that just, Arizona changed from that. And we moved here, and we know our neighbors. When we lived in our old house, like, I went outside one morning to shovel in my yard. My driveway had already been shoveled. My 70-year-old neighbor had shoveled it. I'm like, what are you doing, man? Like, you can't be out here doing this. I should be doing that for you. But that's just how it is out here. People are very helpful and friendly.
And sorry, John, and for proper seasons.
Yeah.
Yes. And we wanted that.
I love the 4 seasons. We have 4 seasons here. I love that. I love the fall. I love the summer. I'm close to the ocean. I live in a town that is like, it's like the 50s, like Back to the Future. That's what it reminds me of. So that's what's really cool about it. But I got to tell you, the people aren't always as friendly. And maybe I have a little problem with road rage. I'll admit it. I get aggravated and shit because people.
Surely not, John. That's not your character at all.
Right? It drives me crazy. My wife, Well, I mean, she hates driving with me. I'm not going to lie, but I get a little pissed off and angry sometimes because people drive stupid. They can't read signs. But I like the Four Seasons. I do. I think it's unique. But I mean, I would love to go to other states, check them out, see where I'd love to retire and do things because New Jersey's expensive. I mean, it's crazy to live here. I don't think I'll be able to, if I ever retire, I don't think I'll be able to stay here. It's just too expensive. I mean, I was going to ask you, said, so you in Colorado, the schools are super good out there where you're at. Yeah.
I want to say when we moved here, they were ranked like in the top 15. I want to say
awesome.
Nationally. So in the schools that our kids go to, it's a public private school that's literally right down the street from us. So it's free admission. You do have to be accepted there, but they teach. My kids are taught in 2 different languages, so they're taught Spanish half the day and English half the day. They also have partial, they have kids that learn in Mandarin half the day in English or French. And so it's just really cool because they're learning something that I could never hope to learn. Like I've tried to learn Spanish so many times and I just can't retain. There are certain words I've retained and certain words that just, no matter for the life of me, I can't figure it out. But they're learning a lot of things that we didn't get the opportunity to do. The Four Seasons thing is huge. I mean, the last year that we lived in Arizona, there was like 20 days over 120, and I was done.
Arizona is hot. There's scorpions. There's fucking rattlesnakes there. Dude, you can't even go outside. Who wants to live there? Like in Florida. Florida's hot too. There's alligators everywhere. Why in the world do you want to live there? I mean, listen, we have people that live in those states and they love it. I agree. It's great. I'm with you. But for me, dude, I don't have any desire to go by alligators or snakes or fucking scorpions, dude. No. I mean, I've got a lot of family and friends that still live in Arizona, and I was just actually talking to a couple of my motorcycle buddies there. Said it hasn't rained in 7 months until like last week. That's crazy.
I couldn't do that. Like we get, it was actually snowing this morning, and now it's bright and sunny outside here. But we get snow or rain like 90% of the year. It's beautiful here all the time. So we do a lot of, we'll go hiking, we'll go ride our motorcycles. And I think last year we had one day over 100 degrees. So it was the perfect, and even then I was out on my motorcycle.
Nice.
So.
Yeah, it's nice weather. I mean, that's nice. That's awesome. Colorado's nice. I love the Four Seasons. Like Andy, you have 4 seasons, right? Where you're at, right? You have summer, winter.
Well, yeah, we it's mostly grey and wet. Occasionally the blue skies come out, or it's just desperately cold. I remember as a child, I mean, I grew up in North London in the UK, and we used to have 4 proper seasons, and that was fine. Half of my family's Spanish, so summer holidays we were in Spain, and that was 35 degrees centigrade, which is 100, 105, but it was 30% humidity, and it just didn't change. 9 weeks school, summer holidays. Arrive in the middle of nowhere, kiss granny on the cheek, say hi, walk out the front door. 9 weeks later, walk back in the front door, kiss granny goodbye, get back in the car, come back. Swimming trunks, flip flops. That was it. Who cares? UK is sort of blended. The seasons are blended together. We spent a lot of time. I worked out in the Middle East for a while. That ranged from quite hot to oh my God, how hot is it? I think the hottest I saw out there was 65 degrees centigrade, which is 162 Fahrenheit. At 90% humidity, and that was the ambient in the shade. And I was like, people live out here. I had friends, local friends, their parents their parents got used to aircon. Their grandparents didn't. One of my project managers, her grandfather lived in a tent on the property outside because he couldn't come into the aircon because he would catch a cold the minute he walked into the house. So he stayed outside in the tent.
The aircon, you mean like the air conditioning?
The aircon, yeah.
I'm with you.
And I've been in everything in between, all the extremes. It's just, but yeah, 4 distinct seasons becomes a nice structure because, you behave a certain way in those seasons. But the weather here has just got very, very grubby. It's been nice the beginning part of this year. My goodness, we've seen blue skies and no clouds at all.
Wow, that's good.
Which is a rarity.
Yeah. And actually, this year for Christmas, we actually had a little bit of a white Christmas, which was nice. And we didn't have tons of snow, but it was still a white Christmas, which was cool because, after that, really didn't get much snow, maybe 1 or 2 little snowstorms, but that was it. It doesn't snow like it used to. When I was a kid, it was like, fuck, December, it was snowing. We always had a white Christmas and it stayed until like February, March. And you're like, God, I can't wait for spring. Now it's like,
That's one of the things that we love out here is it had been so long. So when I lived in New Mexico, we, for that time, lived up in the mountains and we had white Christmases. We had blizzards. Like, I remember times that we would come home. We lived in the middle of nowhere. And it'd be an hour and a half drive without weather to get to our house.
Wow.
And we'd come home in the middle of a blizzard. And it's like my sister and I would be so happy because we knew we were having snow day. We knew we were going to be outside snowboarding or sledding or whatever the heck we wanted to do that day. And then we moved to Arizona. It's like you're wearing sandals and shorts in the middle of December, and it's like 70 degrees was like a Christmas out there. I'm like, this is terrible.
That's weird.
So we moved here and thankfully we've had a white Christmas every year we've lived here so far. And it's been
that's awesome.
Awesome. The kids love it. We love it.
That's awesome. Great. Yeah. See, that's a lot of fun. That's, I mean, I guess for folks who that's all they knew. I remember when I was in the service, so I was in the Navy, and I remember
Thank you for your service.
Oh yeah. No, thanks. It was, it's funny. So when I joined, I actually was in the first Gulf War. So it was an experience. I was all over the world, but I met this guy. It was so funny when I got stationed back in the States, and there was a fellow that I was friends with, and he was from Florida. And when it snowed one time, he was like, "This is the weirdest shit I've ever seen in my life," because he's never seen snow. I'm like, you take it for granted. Like I'm like, you never saw snow? Are you kidding me? He's like, I've never experienced feeling it and falling on his face, and he's touching. It's like, this is the weirdest thing I've ever seen in my life. And you take that for granted. You're like, oh man, how could you not know what snow is for Christmas? I mean, come on. In Florida, they grew up that way. They never had that. 70 degrees, if you're lucky, that was what it was like in December, right? I mean, we're going to Florida in a few weeks, right? Where all the SAs getting together. It's probably going to be in the 80s. It's going to be hot.
It's going to be lovely. It's going to be horrible. We're going to have a horrible, horrible time.
It's going to be hot.
All I can think about is those Cuban cigars and the Cuban coffees.
We'll be out there we're going on a cruise for our 10-year anniversary. So we'll be out there.
Oh, that's good.
At the end of May. And
so where are you going on the cruise? Where are you hitting?
So this time we're doing Cozumel, Belize, and what's the other? Cozumel, Belize. I know they stop in the Bahamas at like their own private island. I can't remember what the fourth stop is. Honduras. Honduras. We're going.
Oh, that's
Honduras,
cool. Yeah. Good for you. That's awesome.
Belize will be spectacular.
Fun.
Yeah, we're excited for it. We've done like Southern Caribbean. I guess Eastern Caribbean is what they consider it. But we've done like the Virgin Islands and that sort of thing a couple times. And we were actually supposed to go to Europe for our 10-year anniversary and do a like 2-week-long cruise out there. We were going to take a whole month off, go do a cruise with the family, and paid for it and everything. And then it was like June last year, maybe we were like, hey, let's go look at these houses, this housing development out here. And we ended up buying a house, so we canceled our trip so that we could pay for the house. Which I guess in retrospect, it's kind of important to have like your own home, right? So, but yeah, we were excited about that, and then we just talked about like, well, if we're not going to Europe, what are we going to do? Like, it's 10-year anniversary. We got to do something.
You got to do something. You better do something. You'd be in trouble.
Yeah, for sure. And so we decided that we were going to do another cruise, just something a little bit closer. It's not $30,000 to fly to Europe and go for a couple weeks. So. Yeah.
And now how old are your kids? You said you want son 7.
Yeah. So I got a 7-year-old, a 6-year-old, and a 3-year-old.
See, when that 3-year-old gets a little bit older, then you hit Disney, right? You go to Disney, you go to all this stuff. You got to do that, right? When they're younger like that, you got to do that.
We've talked about it. several times actually, and for a long time, my wife is like, "We got to take them now. It doesn't matter that they're young. Like they can't do anything.
Yeah,
it's
they
going
won't
to be
remember
miserable.
anything. Yeah.
No,
and it's expensive.
It is, and you're chasing them around the whole time, trying not to lose them in the crowds.
Oh, it's a fiasco, but you gotta do it. But what you gotta do is figure out a time of year that is. You don't want to go April or May or maybe June, end of June, but you want to not go during spring break. November is a great time to go.
Okay.
Right? Because it's not, I mean, it's hot, but they start getting ready for like Christmas or they do like Halloween stuff. Like you get, going that time of year, it's not as crowded.
And 5 or 6 up, I think. They can get a grip on what's going on and they will remember bits of it.
Yeah. That's fun. And the rides are cool and the kids will have a great time. I mean, it's for me, I'm done with all that, but did it when the kids were small and so.
I had to recover a whole load of data the other day from one of my machines, my file servers that crashed. And I uncovered a whole heap of images and videos from, one of them was from a Disney World trip, which we took the kids on, and played some of the videos back to them, and they were like, I don't remember that. They're 21, 20 and 21 now.
How old were they when you went to Disney?
Oh, they were like 5, 6.
Yeah, so they're like, yeah.
But there were videos there that we played them. Oh, I remember that. Yeah. And then we've got another couple of pictures that have been up in frames in the house somewhere. And then there were bits of them that they remember. So for me, it was that's if they're that way inclined, that sort of time period is right. They just about fit on the rides. I remember we went out to Kennedy Space Center, and it was the first year that they introduced the shuttle launch experience.
Yeah, we did that.
And the youngest, on her tippy toes, barely made the height limit. So they looked the other way and said, yes, fine, carry on. And for a year, my youngest was like, I want to be an astronaut. It was, she will never forget any aspect of that particular ride. It left a mark, and she was tiny. Good. She was.
What is she doing now? Your daughter? Is she?
She's now at uni. She's just completing her 3rd year. She's studying medicine at Oxford, and she's top 1% of the top 1% now.
Super smart. See, there you go.
Comfortably so.
Wow.
She's just got a final paper for this term on Monday.
That sounds fun.
Which she's prepping for, and we're going to go and collect her and bring her out of halls on Tuesday morning.
Nice. Oh, your little kids, they say anything already? They want to be police officers or motorcycle racers, or they give you any kind of indication of what they want to do?
Stars.
Yeah. My 7-year-old, who's way too smart for his own good, he forever is, I want to race motorcycles.
Yep.
And now he's obsessed with, we're Packers fans in my house. He's obsessed with the Packers for whatever reason, still obsessed with Aaron Rodgers. And so he wants to not just be a football player, not just a quarterback. He wants to be Aaron Rodgers when he grows up.
There you go.
I think that he is a sponge. He remembers everything. Like, he will remember things from a couple years ago. And he's like, Dad, do you remember this one time we were doing this one thing? And I have no idea what you're talking about, but I 100% believe you, And anyways, all that to say, I think he will more than likely he'll probably be very successful, but I see him being like a doctor or a lawyer or
good for
something
him.
On that lines. My middle child, I'm very concerned about him, to be honest with you. He's
the polar opposite.
He's also incredibly smart, and he is the sweetest kid when he wants to be, but he will fight you tooth and nail on anything he's not interested in.
Yep.
He already does. And
yep.
I don't know what I expect out of him, but I think he could be an athlete. He's a big kid he's as tall as his older brother. Probably weighs more than he does. Like, he's a bigger kid. He hasn't really expressed what he wants to do as a career, but he did mention one time racing monster trucks, and I have no idea where that.
There you go. Yeah.
Wow.
My 3-year-old wants to be a dinosaur, so he's still in that phase.
He's still in that phase. Well, keep him there for as long as you can, because boy, that changes. I mean,
nothing wrong with wanting to be a dinosaur.
Yeah.
No, and Hey, more power to you. You want to be a dinosaur, you want to have a long neck, whatever, like great for you. And that's honestly like, so when we had our first two kids, they were really close together. They're 14 months apart in age. And
Irish twins, as they call them.
Yeah, almost Irish twins. Yeah,
mine are 13 months.
Okay. My sister and I are 18 months apart, so I don't know how we beat that. But we were young at the time. I mean, our first kid, we were 25. We didn't really have a lot of money. I was working construction at the time, and we got pregnant with the second kid, and we were just like, how are we going to do this? This is a lot of stress with two kids and no money. Like, for whatever reason, those years I was in school at the time as well, but those years flew by, and neither one of my older kids, I would say, are at the maturity level of like typical 6 or 7 year olds. Like, they're very mature for their age. They're very smart for their age. And they kind of just bypassed the whole, I want to be a firefighter, I want to be a dinosaur, whatever thing, and just went to like, still dreaming, but I guess more practical jobs. And like committed to those things. Like my 7-year-old, he'll go outside every day and throw his football. We've got a football net. He'll practice like hours and hours. I'm enjoying having the little kid who is still a little kid and wants to be a little kid. And like, he's so much fun for me because he's a lot of energy and he's definitely challenging, but I get to kind of experience those younger years with him and see him grow up in that respect, and see like him just be silly and funny and do the things that 3-year-olds do that I didn't get with the other two.
You have the luxury of time now, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Whereas you didn't have that before. And I guess with the elder two being so bright and remembering everything and soaking everything up, is they can see that they have to shortcut that step because they've got to get to practical things they can do to help.
Yeah, for sure.
And I guess to a degree, we're seeing that with R2. They just, I don't know where the work ethic comes from. I know we're both, Jerry and myself, we're both workaholics. And as John says and mentioned on a couple of the podcasts, I'm away. If I'm awake, I'm online.
He's always online,
and I'm always online because I just don't sleep. But the kids soak that bit up as well. And I've always said to them, I mean, one of the things I always say to them, and I think it's good advice anyway, is if you do all the work that you possibly can, there isn't anything else you can do. So the score falls where it lies, and because you're going to be objectively judged by somebody else. And then if you have nothing left to give, you've given everything you can anyway. So the mark is whatever the mark is. But you don't regret anything because you gave it everything you possibly could. You've done the work. And you still have to do the work. And they are relentless. The kids today have all of their challenges, reading, dyslexia, all the various challenges that they have. Doesn't matter.
Yeah. And it sucks growing up today as a kid.
Deal with it. For sure. Move forward.
Yeah. Social media, cell phones. I mean, I never had any of that stuff when I was growing up. And it was, we were talking about that one time in another podcast, Andy. We were chatting about that. I never had internet. You wanted to get out with your friends. You call them up. Hey, listen, we're going to get together. Boom. Yeah. Yep. And that was it.
Your phone was on a cord. You couldn't go anywhere. You had to go anywhere,
right. And I've been very fortunate that I have 3 stepchildren and I've watched them grow up. I have 2 of my own, which I've grown. They're grown now. They're in their 20s and stuff. I'm actually a grandfather, which is a little crazy, but...
Well, congratulations on that as well.
Yeah, that's a lot of fun.
New nickname for you, John.
The granddaughter is good. Yeah, I'm Pop, and Heather was not happy because she's like, I don't want to be called. Don't even think about calling me grandma. She's very younger than me, so she's in her 40s, and she's like, I'm not a grandmother yet. So you can call me like something fun like Gigi or something else, but don't. She wants to be called Lala at first. I'm like, I don't know about
she can't be. I'm a Lala. She can't call. She can't be a Lala.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. So watching the young ones grow up, and my stepkids, and now my stepdaughter's in college. She's 19, and my other stepson, he's 17, just got his license. He's driving. But the little guy, who I've watched grow up when he was 18 months when we got together. So, I mean, I changed his diapers and, stuff like that. And I've watched him grow up. Like, he asked one year for Christmas, he asked for a grappling hook. I thought this fucking kid is amazing.
A grappling hook.
A grappling hook,
That's
right?
awesome.
Could you
Good
imagine?
choice.
So I'm
Good
like,
choice.
oh, that's good. So, I mean, they're athletes. They're amazing watching them grow up. And it's just been, I know what you're saying with the little one. You get to see them and do that stuff again. And I mean, we've taken them guys to Disney and all that stuff too when they were younger. And
Don't blink, Mike. Just don't blink.
No, it definitely goes by fast.
It does. I mean, incredibly fast. I mean, both kids now, they're driving and they're the ones out of the house. The other one, he's senior next year in high school. And, it's like, it's crazy. The other one's going to be starting high school another 2 years. And it's like, oh my God, it's like, where'd this time go?
We were just having that conversation last week, actually. My 6-year-old just turned 6 on the 6th of March.
Oh, there you go.
So I was talking to him and my wife about it. I remember bringing all of our kids home from the hospital, but him specifically, like I remember a lot about when he was a baby, and it just doesn't seem possible that he's 6 already. And I've got a niece that'll be 8 in October. Her and my oldest son are a couple months apart, and I remember when my sister and her husband at the time were still together, and like they were freaking out about having a baby and all these things. Yep. And it's like, that's a whole world away. Right. And Andy, you had said something that I wanted to circle back to actually about, work ethic and things, and actually kind of 2 parts of this. So when I first started here, Tiff Cook mentioned, I had a long conversation with him, and I was the same way, always online. Like people would be like, Mike, do you ever not work? Because 6 o'clock in the morning, my time, I'm online. 8 o'clock at night, I'm online, And Tiff one time was like, you got to stop doing that. He said, you are going to miss your kids growing up, and they're not going to, there's going to be a time they're going to come to you and they're going to say, Dad, can you play with me? You're going to say no. And they're going to tell you, hey, I didn't expect that you're going to be able to play anyway. And he's like, that's going to break your heart. And I guess personal experience for him, like that's what he went through. And I've gone through that. And that was part of the reason that I actually also wanted to change my role. Is digital forensics is a really cool career, but it is very hard on a family. And not being able to see my kids grow up, not being, always involved in everything. Like my son's starting football next month. I'm supposed to be a coach for his football team. That wouldn't be possible doing digital forensics. So,
right. Yeah.
But so there's that aspect of it. But the other thing I've told my kids, like relentlessly, when I was in high school, very smart, could have done really well. And even like athletically, I'm fairly gifted human athletically. I chose girls and social life over academia, or over really even investing in my athletic abilities. And I paid the price for it. Like, I had to pay for.
Women will kill you.
Yes, they will. But I had to pay for. I paid for college. I put myself through college. I didn't get scholarships. I scored in the 1700s on my SATs, and I couldn't get a single scholarship or acceptance letter to any school because I was a C student. And it wasn't intelligence. It was at the time motivation to do something important.
You had other things going on, but. And so now that you're saying this, if you had a time machine and you were able to go back 10, 15 years, would you tell yourself something different? Would you change anything?
It's an interesting question. And my old boss asked me that when I worked construction one time. We were having a conversation. He's a good family friend. I've known him actually since I was 5 years old, maybe 6 years old. He and my dad grew up together, known each other a long time. But anyway, we were driving somewhere, and he was like, if you could go back in time, and my wife's name is Mackenzie. He's like, if you could, date other people besides Mackenzie and like kind of experience college or experience things differently in high school, would you? And I've thought long and hard about that, because there's 2 sides of it, right? Like you want to, like, how does the other half live, or what would my life look like if I did these things? If I would have, in my senior year of high school, I got hurt during summer football and kind of just gave up on really committing to football at that point. Still made the team, was on the team, but I just was like, I got hurt. I'm not going to put in the work because you didn't just give me my spot back, kind of thing. Right. And if I would have just shown up and done the work, like, where does that take me? Does that put me in college? I had an opportunity to go play football in high school in Texas when my dad moved there. Every kid at the school I would have gone to got scholarships to go play football. If I would have done that, like, how does that play out? But then I think about if I would have changed anything about my past, where would I be today? And would I have the family I have, or have had the experiences or the values even that I have now? Because the truth is, if I didn't go through all the stuff I went through when I was in high school or even after high school, I'm probably not as dedicated to work as I am now. I'm not, I work my ass off because I don't want my kids to experience, something like we didn't always have money when I was a kid. I don't want them to experience that. I don't want my kids to see their dad as somebody who isn't a hard worker or doesn't follow through to his commitments, or people can't rely on. And so that's part of why I work so hard. If I would have been different in high school, maybe I'm not that same person now. So there's parts where I'm like, man, it'd be really cool to have gone to college on a football scholarship, or it would have been cool to not have to pay for college and have student loans or whatever. I don't think I would change a single thing, because the reality is I love where we're at now. I love my wife. I've got a great family. We've got kind of the American dream, if you will, of like we have a house and dogs, and our fence isn't white, but we do have a picket fence. And, like we've got all the things that you kind of dream of. And I don't think I would change a single thing about it.
But your intention has changed. How has your intention changed now? You've come to the realization that, what's happened before has brought you to this point. I mean, it changes the way does it change the way you talk to your kids? Does it change the way you encourage your kids?
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's, one of the things that I didn't have growing up was that strong mentor. I love both my parents dearly. My mom worked so much when I was a kid. And like I said, my parents were divorced when I was very young. I didn't spend a lot of time with my dad growing up because he was working all the time. And when I was with him, he was still working. My mom worked around the clock. And so my sister and I raised ourselves in a lot of respects, and I didn't ever have anybody to turn to. I have a small family. Like there's not a lot of people for me to rely on. And then we moved a lot as a kid as well. So I never made like stable relationships, and I don't want my kids to have that experience either. So the way that I approach my kids, like my dad's still a cowboy, he's still a Marine. Like I still, the respect thing and all that stuff is ingrained in me. But I try to approach my kids from a standpoint of like, if you get anything from me, I want you to give your all to everything you do. And I want you to be honest people. I don't care if you're successful, to be honest. If my kids could burn out at whatever they try and do in life, and I will still love them to death. But my one caveat to that is you have to give it your all, whether it's football, whether it's academics, whether you want to be in public service, whatever the case is, just give it your best shot. And that's how I approach things with
all
our
you
kids.
Can do. Yep. And that's the best advice I think you can give any
super familiar story, Mike.
Sure.
Super familiar story.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, people forget, you're not growing up a child, you're growing up a little person to become an adult.
Yeah,
right?
For
and
sure.
They gotta get ready for the world. I mean, it's not a fun place. And think about what's going to be for those guys. Where's technology going to take us? What kind of world are they going to grow up in? Right. Who knows? But, to have that foundation, and to say the same thing with security, right? If you have that solid foundation, no matter what you do up here, you can always rebuild and do something. But that foundation is solid, and that makes you who you are today. And that's great.
Good practice. You need to develop that good practice, because you will lean into that regardless of whatever the tools or the experience or the components are. If you have that good practice, that ability to test and retest and develop and retest again, you can handle all of these things. And again, that's the role you're doing now, Mike. The vCISO team is building that good practice. That's where those customers are going to benefit from that. It's where the team's going to benefit from that. It's where that partnership relationship is going to do. And the fact that you've come from that background, understanding that, they're gonna want to partner. Your audience are going to want to partner with you and continue to partner with you.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. So I got one more request for you, Mike. One more. Well, one more for this. So we would like to know if it would be possible, if you would be able to come back on 6 months, 9 months from now and say, hey, here's all the things we chatted about last time. These are all the cool things we got working now. Here's some cool stuff coming up. Just see where you're at, see what's going on, see how the kids are doing, right?
Yeah,
what are you guys doing now outside? What's happening? Who knows what the weather, you guys snowboarding or whatever, stuff like that. We'd just love to have you back on and see where you're at, if that's cool with you.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to be back.
Yeah, that would be awesome. And I got to tell you, I know you're busy. I know you're doing all these crazy things. So we just want to say thank you very much for taking the time to honestly to come out here and chat with us and talk about whatever and just, really, really show people, who you are and why you're here at eSentire and what makes it special for us to even, be a coworker with you and stuff. It's amazing. So thanks for taking the time, man. It's been awesome.
No, absolutely.
We're going to chat about I'm telling you, I'm going to go back and rewatch the Zodiac movie again. We're going to chat about it, bro, next time.
Do you need an excuse to watch it again?
Yeah, I'm going to tell my wife, we got to watch it this weekend because I was talking to Mike Reeder and we're going to do this. So that he's studying it. He's going to find out who is the killer because he's in digital forensic and he's going to go back. We're going to find out together.
So hang on, John. You're going to now blame, with Heather, you're now going to blame Mike for watching the Zodiac Killer yet again.
That's fine.
Yeah, she won't let me do it. If I say, hey, I've got to do it for work.
Mike said we have to.
Mike said we got to do it. So shit, honey, let's get it done. So let's do it. So yeah, definitely. We got to definitely chat about that next time. I got to find out. Check out that Jack the Ripper stuff. We should definitely chat about that because it's interesting. It was cool, but yeah. But thanks again, Mike, for being with us.
I appreciate it, and I didn't have talk about serial killers on the bingo card for today, but it's been a great chat. And,
you never know, bro.
And I'd love to be back on for sure.
Awesome, thank you again, Mike.
It's always a random topic every single time.
This is what makes us who we are, right? Yeah. Hey, this is it. We're having
this
fun.
This is our community. This is our people. So it's what it is. What it is.
It's it. Let's have some fun.
Never a dull moment, right?
Yep. Yeah, thanks again, Mike. Really do honestly appreciate it, and it's been an honor and a pleasure, man. I really do thank you again. We both thank you again for this.
Yeah, likewise. I enjoyed it. It was a blast, so appreciate it. Thank you.
Awesome.
No, thank you very much, Mike. All right, so this has been another episode of the Cyber Culture Cafe series, part of the Cyber Talks podcast presented by eSentire, the authority in managed detection and response. To learn how eSentire's next level MDR service can help you strengthen your security program and build cyber resilience, please visit eSentire.com. Mike, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much for taking the time today to talk to us. We look forward to the next episode and having you back in the fullness of time to listen to your latest stories from the vCISO team or wherever you end up.
Awesome. Appreciate it. Thank you guys.